Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Life Stories Unscripted podcast. I'm your host, Viviane, and I'm a doula, breastfeeding specialist, and a mama coach, and I'm here to talk about everything related to preconception, pregnancy, birth, postpartum, and everything in between. So if you're a parent or you're trying to be one, this is the show for you, so stay tuned. Today, I'm talking to Lauren McLeod from Perth in Australia, who is a doula and a mama of two, and she's going to talk to us about her amazing breastfeeding journey. If you've seen some of my previous episodes and you like them, be sure to hit the subscribe button now so me and you can share Lauren's important breastfeeding message together. This show is sponsored by Perfecta Placenta, located in Beverly Hills, which is a placenta preserving company. So if you would like your miracle organ to be preserved and get a diaper bag and a stretch mark cream as a gift from me, don't forget to use my promo code DoulaViviane, which can be seen below. And for more information, I can be reached either via Facebook or Instagram under my own name, DoulaViviane, or via my email address, which is birthbyviviane@gmail.com. So don't hesitate and reach out. Let's talk to Lauren now. Enjoy. Hi, Lauren. Thank you so much for being here today. It's a pleasure to have you. I can't wait to talk to you about this. It's been too long.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk to you too.
Yeah. So, Lauren, you're a doula and a mama, right? A breastfeeding mama. So I am very curious, which came first?
The mama part that came first. I did not even know what a doula was until I was pregnant with my first baby, and even then, I found out that they existed, but I didn't really understand it. Sort of like, yeah, first baby, I was very much like, oh, I peed on a stick, I'm pregnant, let's go to the doctor, get a referral to the hospital, and then I have the baby there. And that was what I thought it was. I didn't even know that home birth was a thing that people did, like an actual real thing, like, which sounds crazy to me now that I even thought that, but I just didn't know. So yes, I was a mum first and a doula second.
Wow, that's mind-blowing, right? Because you're in the industry now, so you know all about it, you know about all the options, about the informed decisions. So what made you, because I'm obviously curious about, who you are, and my audience is, I'm pretty sure, curious as well. So if you could tell us a little bit, why did you decide to do this doula thing and dive into it?
Well, after I had my first baby, I became so interested in birth, obsessed with it. I thought it was amazing. And his birth was a bit traumatic. So when I found out a little bit more about doulas and what they were, I thought to myself, oh, like that would be really like an amazing job to do. Like it would be so amazing to be present at people's births, but also to help people to have a positive birth experience, and to help sort of educate them onto how they can create that positive birth experience. And then I did my doula training when I was pregnant with my second baby. And then during that process of being pregnant with my second baby, I prepared for that second birth, that healing birth that I got, which was amazing. It was the most beautiful birth, but it was so beautiful and positive because I made it that way. Like I orchestrated that, and then all the stars aligned and everything just worked out beautifully. But that further cemented like why I wanted to go into birth work, was to help people to achieve that, like especially people who have had previous traumatic births, to then create a positive healing birth. So yeah.
That's wonderful. I love to hearing that. And it's something came up for me though. So when you said like it's about me creating that positive birthing experience, and it was the most amazing birth I had, it was very healing. I'm sure that a lot of mothers or a lot of women would disagree on this in terms of like creating your own experience. Could you tell us, because you're a doula, I'm a doula, so this is very close to my heart. What do you say when moms are a little bit distrusting in terms of like, well, I can't really control everything, I might need a hospital birth, even though I plan for a home birth, this might happen. So what happens then? Because obviously there's realistic expectations and unrealistic expectations, and we have to sort of like meet somewhere in the middle to balance all out, right? So yeah, that would be my question as to how do you navigate through this?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's so valid. Like, birth is unpredictable. Like, you know, any number of things could happen during birth, and that's totally understandable. Like, you know, I don't think there's anyone who, I mean, there's probably very few people in the world whose births have gone exactly the way they expected them to go. But I guess that's part of the beauty of it. But I think the way that you can create a positive birth experience for yourself, or at least have the very best chance of creating a positive birth experience, is to prepare for all scenarios. Like, you know, obviously you can't prepare for every single scenario that's possible, but, you know, pretty much the main sorts of different kinds of pathways that your birth could take. So, for example, if you are planning a home birth, it's also preparing for the possibility of a hospital transfer, and then even the possibility of an emergency C-section, and all of these different paths that your birth could take. Just educating yourself on what could happen if one of those scenarios are presented to you, what actions you would take in those scenarios. So, for example, I like the if this then that concept. So it's like, if this happens, we will do that. Yeah. And but then if this happens, we'll do that. So it's like, it's preparing. So then if you are presented with one of these scenarios that is not your expected or hoped for pathway, you at least have prepared for it in advance, so you are not caught off guard. You're like, okay, for example, the baby's heart rate has dropped. I talked about this with my doula, midwife, care provider, whoever, previously. So this is what we're going to do in this scenario. And if then this doesn't work, then we can do this. So at least you're then prepared for all the different options, and you know which options you want to take, which align best with your values, sorts of things. So yeah, and I think, and having that sort of, I guess, control. I don't like using the word control, because it's, I don't know, it sounds a bit like, it doesn't sound right, but like it keeps you in control, but in a nice way, not like in a like a, you know, real masculine, like it's my way or the highway sort of way. But it's like, if you're in that sort of control, like it helps you to feel more confident and happy with your decisions. And even though perhaps the birth may not be going the way that you hoped for, at least you're still making the decisions. You're the one who's in control of your body and your baby and what's happening to you. And you're not just being coerced or anything like that into making decisions that you don't feel fully comfortable with, and you're not fully informed on as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree on that. I definitely agree. But wouldn't you say, so I'm very curious, did you have a doula during your second birth?
I did, yes. So not with my first, but with my second, I did, yeah.
Because everything you're saying, you know, if this happens, we do this, all of these plan Bs, plan Cs that are in place, the contingency essentially is very helpful. But if you don't have a doula, this is what I'm getting at. I think a doula is so essential to your birthing experience, because she can be the sponge. She can take it all in with you. You're not in this alone. You don't carry the responsibility just on your shoulders, but she can carry some of that too, in terms of helping you figure out, well, it's okay. This can all happen. It doesn't mean it will, but it's good to be prepared. And once it does, I'm there to support you, to guide you through it, and to maybe you know, to tell you, this is what we talked about. Do you remember? Do you still want to do this? Is this still what you want to do? So yeah, love it. I love it. Awesome.
Thank you. Yes, and you're so right. It's nice to have that extra person to be the one to like the logical brain, because obviously when we're in labor, we're not in our logical brains, and we're not supposed to be in our logical brain. So it's nice to have that person who is in their logical brain to help advocate for you or help you advocate for yourself if one of those scenarios does arise.
Exactly. I love it.
Mm.
So, Lauren, I would like to bridge over to the core of our conversation, which is breastfeeding.
Mm.
Was that, I mean, I could talk for hours about this, but we don't have that much. So
Me too.
let's try to keep it shorter. Um, so tell me, was that always your dream, or was that something that just happened naturally? Because we all know that breastfeeding is a skill for you and for your baby to learn and to sort of reach and get better at. But I'm very interested in how that all became a thing.
Yeah, so when I was pregnant with my first baby, I knew I would breastfeed. It just kind of, I didn't really think too much about it. It just seemed like the logical next step after having a baby. I was breastfed until I was 2. My mum has always been quite open about that with me throughout my childhood and obviously into adulthood. And my husband was also breastfed until he was 2. So we both come from those sort of, you know, breastfeeding backgrounds. Our parents were open and supportive about it. So yeah, it seemed like the logical next step. And my goal was always to breastfeed until he was 2 because yeah, that's what happened. That's what I did. That's what my husband did. And that's, you know, the World Health Organization recommendation is to breastfeed until age 2. And I kind of just assumed that he would self-wean around that age because you know, that's what my mum told me I did and all that sort of stuff. And I just kind of assumed, oh yeah, he'll probably, you know, once he gets to 2. And then, but then 2 came and went. And then I was pregnant with my second baby when he turned 2. And then 3 came and went, and 4 came and went. And now 5 has come and gone. And we're still going. And yeah, I never pictured myself being where I am today, which is breastfeeding my 5-year-old and my 2.5-year-old. Not in a bad way or anything. I had nothing like against it. I just never thought that that would happen. Like I just, yeah, I guess I didn't really think about it that much because I had this expectation that he would self-wean when he was 2. And I mean, obviously, like the amount that he has breastfeeded he breastfeeds has greatly decreased since then. Like at this point, he only breastfeeds at bedtime, or not even every night anymore, probably a few times a week. So, but yeah, I mean, we're still going. So yeah.
And there's so many important things that you just said about, you know, your background, that you come from a family where you, as the baby, were breastfed, which is, I think that is a very, very important contributing factor in the decision of a future mom, whether she will take that route and whether it seems natural, because, you know, and we all know that family and friends can have an immense impact in terms of whether to breastfeed or not. Because if we weren't breastfed, it might not seem natural to our moms. So they might be, why are you doing this? Like, this is just give him a bottle. And it can go against the natural instinct, the natural innate bond that the mom wants to have with her baby. And then, you know, all the guilt and shame comes in, and that's obviously not good, right? In the postpartum period or leading up to the postpartum period, and the baby can feel all that, whether in the womb or outside. So I think this is wonderful to just emphasize on that. Really, really, the background plays a big role. But I think even if you are from a family of bottle-fed infants, you can still make that decision and change it to breastfeeding. It's just, again, I'm coming back to the support, to choosing the right people for your support, and knowing when to say thank you so much for your advice and for your wisdom, but I choose to do this and I would like you to accept it. But again, that there's a lot of cultural issues that go on around this. And that's another thing that, you know, you say like, well, 3 went and go, that came and go, came and went, and then 4 came and went, and then 5 is coming up, and maybe, you know, it'll go as well. And this is like, we shouldn't even be talking about this, to be honest, that you are breastfeeding to this age, but we are, because you're one of the very few but it is actually very normal. And the natural weaning age is anywhere between 2.5 to 3 to 7. And I don't know why we're talking about 6 months, 7 months these days.
Mm-hmm.
Because a baby that weans themselves off at 7 months did not wean themselves off. It's not possible. It's humanly, physiologically not possible for an infant to wean themselves so early off. So there is always some underlying issue, some other issue, whether it's psychological or physiological, or just peer pressure, just pure and simple peer pressure. So yeah, I think that's leading up to my next question. How do you deal with the pressure from because I'm sure that you are very active on Instagram and you are advocating for that, which I love it. I love it. But with that comes, with that comes some, hate as well. So.
Yeah. So I mean, I've been breastfeeding for a very long time, and I've always been very open about my journey, so that I can help other people to realize how normal it is, because I'm just a mum like any other mum. Like, I'm just there's nothing special about me. Like, I'm not I'm not a weirdo. Like, I'm just a regular mum, and I've literally just followed my baby's lead and my natural instinct, and I've ended up here. And that's just where my journey has taken me. And it's the same for, we are in the minority, those of us who do breastfeed past infancy, but there are lots of us around, more than people think. And a lot of people who do breastfeed past infancy, even just into toddlerhood, which is really not like, breastfeeding a 2-year-old is really like, they're still a baby, essentially. I feel like they're still a baby. So yeah, like that, but they hide, they don't tell anyone a lot of the time. They just, or they feel ashamed of it when they really shouldn't. But yeah, so I in being open about my journey, obviously I do receive some hateful comments, things like that every now and then. To be honest, the amount of support I receive greatly outweighs the negative, which I'm very grateful for. But of course the negative does filter in, and I've got to this point now where I don't let it get to me. Occasionally someone will say something that does upset me, but it's usually if it comes on when I'm having a rough day or something like that. But really, I just remind myself that these people are coming from a place of lack of education. They essentially just have no idea what they're talking about. Like, they don't understand, they don't know me, and because it's always complete strangers on the internet. I'm very, very lucky to have such a very supportive family and network of friends. So it's always people who don't know me. They don't know my children. They don't know my full story. They've only seen a random little snippet of like maybe one post that I've posted on social media somewhere. And they come on and say these hateful comments. And it's like, I think that's why I don't let it get to me, is that because I know that they just don't know what they're talking about, and they are just biased because of society. Like, that, because it's just people in this day and age, the majority of people do think that it's weird to breastfeed a child past infancy, when in fact it's, one of the most natural things in the world. People have been doing it since the dawn of time. Like, it's just, and yeah, like you said, the natural weaning age is between 2 and 7 years of age. So my son is 5. He's still like in the middle there. Like, he might wean within the next year. It might be 2 years. I don't know. I feel like we are at the end of that, heading towards the end of our journey. But we're still in that normal, very normal range. It may be uncommon in today's society, but it's still normal. And yeah, that's, I guess, why even, despite the hateful comments that I do receive occasionally, I still continue to share my story, and I've still advocate for this, because people need to know it's normal. And it's not so much, I guess, about changing people's minds, but it's more about supporting the people who are in this journey with me, who are breastfeeding beyond infancy, to know that they are doing the right thing for their babies. Like, we're all just trying to do our best. And if that means breastfeeding past infancy, then that is amazing. It's perfectly normal. But then also on the other side, if people don't want to breastfeed past infancy, also fine. Whatever works for each individual family. But people need to know that it's normal and there's nothing weird about us. We're just normal people, normal parents, just trying to do our best. And and it's my kids who are leading the way. Like, I've had to sort of set some boundaries here and there, but it's them leading the way. It's not me. Like, I'm not forcing them to do anything. I get that that's a common one, is people think that I'm forcing them to breastfeed, but like, have you tried to force a toddler or a preschooler to do anything? You can't. It's impossible. So so I went on a bit of a tangent there, but so basically I just remember that these people who are sending hateful comments, they just don't know what they're talking about, and at the end of the day, they don't know me, and them saying these mean things is not going to change anything that I do. Like, I'm not going to stop breastfeeding my kids because some random person on the internet has told me that I shouldn't. So usually I will just, like, if it's a comment I get on Instagram, usually I will just delete the comment and block the person, and I don't even respond. Every now and then, depends what mood I'm in. If I'm in a bit of a mood, sometimes I will respond. But very rarely, to be honest. I'm not interested in that energy, and and I know that anything I say is not going to change their mind, so it's just not worth it. Not worth my energy.
The same for you, right? Whatever they say, it's not going to change your mind, right? Essentially, at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it can be applied both ways, and I really love that analogy, because you're worth just as much as they are, and your opinions, thoughts, and values are just as worth as they are. But just because you don't collide, it doesn't mean let's rip our throats out, So yeah, I agree. And but you said something that really, really resonates with me, and you said it's very common in our society not to breastfeed past infancy or even past like 7-8 months, but it's not normal.
Yeah.
This is something so important to me, because a lot of moms that I work with that have breastfeeding issues, or the normal ones, I always say this is very common, but it's not normal. If this happened to you, you did not have the support you needed when you needed it. So now we have to do some damage control, and it'll be okay. But because they don't know, it can scare you. It can, like, what's happening? And then you're isolated, and you don't know where to look for your support groups and people. So it can be very one-on-one thing. Like, is this just me in this whole world that's having these issues? And that can be very disempowering. It can be very confusing, and then unsolicited advice comes in, and boom, and it's a sealed deal almost, that someone will stop breastfeeding because of this, because they think they're incapable, when breastfeeding is part of the package. It's part of the birth process. It's not optional to me. Breastfeeding is included. It's not like an add-on that you can purchase or decide to do after birth. No, it comes with it, but it's a skill. You have to learn to breastfeed. And that's another thing that really resonated with me. I'm going to go a little bit back in our conversation when you said that your almost 5-year-old son, he, breastfeeding versus breastfeeding. Just because you're breastfeeding a 5-year-old doesn't mean he's on the breast 8 to 10 times a day. That's also a thing.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes in, that we see breastfeeding as this food commodity, when in fact it's a relationship and nutrition. It's not one or the other. It never is. It's both. And at this stage in your breastfeeding journey where you are with your son, it's more about the relationship and the mother-son love. And I think that is beautiful, because then he will be independent, or and I'm not saying that children that are not breastfed are not independent. That's not what I'm saying. But it does create a bond that is very special, because that is one thing that men can do. They can breastfeed. and it's about it's you know, it's up to the mother. So the mother has this unique chance to form this bond that started in the womb all the way up to, you know, young toddlerhood or preschool age. And I think that, you know, and then they go on, they go on their own, right? And we wake up one day and they're gone, and but the relationship remains, that they'll be coming back to us, but we have to build it. And that's from 0 to 7. And that's the time you get. And if you don't use that time and that time span, it's gone. So I think it's so important to, and you know, besides talking about the vast, almost infinite benefits to just breast milk itself, is, you know, again, we could go on for hours. So this is wonderful. Yeah. But so Lauren, what would you when you deal with these type of people in your own way, how do you, is there something you would like to say to other moms who are receiving unsolicited advice, up to like hateful comments like you do? What worked best for you if it's in person, let's say?
Yeah, I have been very fortunate in that I've not had anyone in person say anything nasty to me, which I think says a lot about the people who say nasty things. That they have a lot to say behind a keyboard, but nothing to say to someone's face. But if you know, a lot of people would be, especially around this time of year, around Christmas time, you know, you're seeing family, extended family, things like that you don't see so often. When, for example, when one sort of conversation I did have when Bowie was 1, I think he just turned 1. I went to a family gathering and breastfed him, and someone in my extended family said, "Oh, I thought you said you were going to stop breastfeeding when you turned 1." And like, I was like, "No, I never would have said that. Like, no, he's still very little." And it was just, yeah, like that was sort of it. I just basically said, "No, like that's not what I said. I would never have said that. Where I'm just letting him breastfeed until he self weans." And I think just no matter what it is that you say, if you say it with conviction, then and it's like and you make it like that is the answer, that's it, full stop. Like there's no room for arguing. I feel like that is the best thing that you can do. So another sort of some other good ways to put it, like if someone was to receive some negative comments, things like that, to be like, this is what works best for us, and that's it, full stop. I could leave it at that. Or, you know, then go on to say, if they, you know, if they push you further, be like, actually breastfeeding up till between 2 and 7 years of age is biologically normal. You know, and anything along those lines, just spitting facts is what I like to do, mostly online because that's where I receive most of the comments. But, you know, a lot of people would receive negative comments like that. But just state, like, I feel like just stating this is what works best for us. And, you know, and even, you know, sometimes people will question like, oh, like, why don't you let them eat food? And it's like, they do eat food.
Yeah.
They eat plenty of food, they drink plenty of water. Like there are so many other benefits to breastfeeding than just for nutrition. And yeah, like, you know, it's even just stating like this offers my child like an extreme amount of comfort when they need it the most, when they're feeling overwhelmed in this room full of extended family who they don't know from a bar of soap. Like it offers them this comfort and this safe place. So yeah, like I think that's the most effective sort of way to go about it. And then even, you know, if you just continue to be pushed to be like, I don't wish to discuss this further, this is what we're doing, this is what works. If you don't like it, then that's fine, but this is what works for us. And yeah, I fully understand, I can fully appreciate how hard those conversations can be, especially when if you're with your child, like if you're breastfeeding your child is right there and they are taking that in as well, and you want to protect them from that. You don't want them to be hearing that sort of stuff, but you know, sometimes it's inevitable. So yeah, I think just trying to be as cool, calm and collected as possible is the best way to go about it. And just, yeah, like that, just that this is what works for us and that's it. Like you can't, nothing you can say is going to change what we're doing. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch. Like, that's it.
And to be fair, it's really none of their business. If it comes
Exactly. Yeah.
baseline, it's none of their business. It's your body. You can do whatever you want to with your body. But you said it really well, that this is definitely easier said than done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some people have trouble standing up to other people, friends, not to mention authority. But it's even harder with family, with your mom, with your dad, with your sister. It is very hard, but you have to stand your ground and stand up for yourself and for your baby. You in that moment are your own advocate as well as your baby's advocate, because your baby cannot,
and that's so right.
Yeah. And your baby cannot make conscious decisions. Yes, I want to breastfeed right now because it's really well for me. It's really good for me. No, you have to be that advocate. And when he's older, you can tell him about it and he can make then this decision with his own child, even if it's a boy. It doesn't matter. He can be a good advocate for his partner, or, help convince them, or not convince them, just help show them the fact, the evidence. And that's another thing you said. Evidence, evidence, evidence. You're not fighting, you're not arguing. Look, this is the evidence, and I chose to follow it, and it resonates with me, and it works for me. Period.
Yeah, that's so right. Another another way that I sort of I can sometimes get through those sorts of comments. Not that usually if I do get anyone sort of say something to me, it's usually they're sort of joking about it, but then so I'll then respond with, like, if someone says like, oh, like he's still on the boob, like I'll be like, yeah, maybe we'll stop when he grows up and moves out, like, or I don't know, we'll probably stop when he's 45 maybe, or something. Just make a joke out of it. Like, maybe that would help. It just depends on the person and the scenario and stuff. If you like, using humor really helps sometimes, because and I think saying something like that throws people off, because they won't expect you to say something like that. Like, obviously you're joking. You don't, like, I'm assuming probably most people don't intend on breastfeeding their children till they're 45. But so, yeah, like, it just, that helps sometimes. And I will do that sometimes online. Like, if I do feel the need or the energy to respond to someone saying ridiculous things, it's usually I respond with humor. I'll be like, oh, I don't know, maybe when he grows up and he moves out and he gets married, maybe then we'll stop. Like, who knows? Yeah. So yeah, that's another way to kind of deal with it that is not so heavy as well, I feel like. And it just feels a bit, I don't know, for some people it might feel a bit easier to just make a joke out of it, sort of thing, and just brush it off, and it'll just catch the person off guard, and then hopefully that will just be the end of the conversation. Yeah.
I have nothing to add because you said it right on spot. And some people do operate better with humor. Some people have troubles with the other way of standing up for themselves, but they can do it via something funny. And it is very catching off guard, because you are being just as sarcastic or snarky just as they are. And they don't expect they expect you to like they expect a reaction, but they don't expect the same reaction. And and but yeah, so is there any, Lauren, that you would like to tell us or tell me, or is there anything you would like to touch on that's very important to you and you'd like to share that?
Yeah, I mean, I think like I said before, the reason I share my story and I'm so open about my story is to help other breastfeeding parents who are in the same boat to feel like what they are doing, if they're on a similar journey to me, to remember that it is normal and they're just doing what is right for them and their babies. And I think encouraging other breastfeeding parents who are on that similar journey to me if they feel comfortable, to also share their journey, whether that is online publicly, or just, you know, be open about it with their family and friends and not hide it, because the more people see it, the more normal it becomes. And like you said at the very start, we shouldn't even be talking about this. Like, this should not be a thing. Like, this is just like, and like for me, this is such a normal, mundane part of my life. Like, it's just not anything exciting for me in my life. It's just, you know, it's just a very normal thing. You know, the same as, you know, changing nappies and doing the bedtime routine. It's just a part of my life. And I just I I just hope that one day we can get to a place where this is just normal, and people breastfeed more people just breastfeed in general, because that would be great, because the breastfeeding in general rates, even for babies, is so dismal all over the world really at this point. But also so that more people are breastfeeding for longer, because it is so beneficial for so many reasons. But people don't, because of, I mean, well, for a number of reasons, but I feel mostly it's because of society and how people are so biased against it, and they think it's such a weird, wrong, gross thing to do, when in fact it's just so normal and such a natural instinct for so many of us. But society leads us to believe that it's wrong.
And it's so beautiful. Up, you know, on top of everything else, it's so beautiful to see a mother breastfeeding. And it's not a very shameful thing here to do it in public, where I currently am. But it is in North America, for example.
Yeah.
Mothers get literally kicked out of places because someone else is not comfortable seeing that. Well, again, you're not comfortable. I'm so sorry. Can you turn around? Because I need to feed my child. And
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
and that's when you said, like, we've been doing this since crack of dawn. That's why we are here. We are
Yeah.
here because someone breastfed someone else before us. There were no formulas, there were no wet nurses back then. That's just became a trend later on, but definitely not in the very early beginnings of that. But it's just now, it's normal, it's natural. And like you said, the more people see it, the less we hide it, the more normal it becomes. Because we'll start seeing it, and it'll, you know, it'll get under our skin, into the subconscious, like, oh yeah, this is normal. We're to a point where we won't even think about it twice, you know. And if someone won't do it, that'll be, oh wait, they're not breastfeeding, like what?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
where I would love to be one day.
Yeah.
This is not to say anyone who's watching this and who is not able to breastfeed, or they had to stop and then wanted to come back, but that's obviously not a possibility, you know, or probability to restart breastfeeding is harder. This is not to, you know, shame them or make them feel bad. They're just as wonderful mothers, and they're doing the best they can. And for whatever reason they stop breastfeeding, that's not up to us to judge. But we are here to advocate for breastfeeding, regardless of whatever the reasons are for someone to choose not to. So I just wanted to say that, because we are going on some tangents here about that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like, yeah, there's, you know, I've got many friends who have, you know, only breastfed for a few weeks or months or whatever, or they've not breastfed at all. And like, you know, it's all good. Whatever works best for individual families. I'm always very open about the fact that I am, like, you know, very supportive of everyone else's decisions, even if they differ to mine. And yeah, I don't judge anyone. But yeah, it's important that even those people understand that, you know, our choices are just as valid as theirs.
Yes, and there are reasons and emotions and feelings at any given moment. And I love what you said, that no matter whether it's a day that you breastfeed or a week or 5 years, every day counts. Like, if you can go just one more day, and I tell this to struggling moms who are isolated, who just gave birth, who don't really have friends that have babies in their breastfeeding age, or just babies in general. I say, just one more day. If you can tell yourself, I made it one more day, that's a victory. It's such a victory, and celebrate in any way you want to, because you deserve it. Because it's great for you. It's great for your recovery. I mean, breastfeeding has like benefits for the mom as well, but
Yeah, absolutely.
another tangent. But yeah, just for the baby, like you made it one more day. You gave protection to your baby for one more day on a cellular breastfeeding level, which is nothing else will substitute for that. So if you can go one more day, it's always a victory. So that's what I always say. If a mom is really, really struggling, which happens, it happens. So I love your message, but I don't know if you know, but I think that you are a pioneer, that you became a pioneer in the world of breastfeeding without you really signing up for that. you know,
Yeah.
you're just doing it. You're doing it, and you are this enigma. And again, we shouldn't be talking about it. We shouldn't give you these titles of like, oh my gosh, she's breastfeeding for so long. She's a mate. Like, yes, you're amazing. You're a woman. You're a mother. You have the best life that you can earn in your life. But everyone, it should be normal. It should be celebrated. It shouldn't be looked at as this phenomena. But it is, and it's great. But we have to start somewhere, and I'm happy it's you. But
Oh,
again, yeah, I mean, you're doing so much work. So, and such great impact.
thank you. Thank you so much. That's so lovely. And yeah, I just want to make a difference. Like, just want to try and, but I hope that by the time my children have children, if they choose to have children, that it's not like that, it's more normal than it is today, and that if they choose to go down a similar path to me, that it's easy for them and they feel supported and loved and and they don't have to struggle.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's a wonderful message, and I can't wait to see that time. I really am very excited for that myself.
Yeah, me too.
But Lauren, tell us, so we can start wrapping it up. Tell us, is there anything that you would like to tell to future moms or moms that are already that already have children? Is there something regarding breastfeeding that you would like to share, like a message?
Yeah, sure. I think I mean, I feel like this goes for just every aspect of parenting, but you know what's best for you and your babies. And no one else can tell you what is best for you and your babies. Obviously, you can get advice from outside people, family, friends, care providers, all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, only you know what's best for you and your babies, and whether that is breastfeeding until the age of 5, or whether it's only breastfeeding for a year or 6 months or whatever, only you know what's best. Because if you try and do something that's not right for you and your babies, then it's not going to be right for you and your babies. Like, if that makes sense, no one's going to be happy, no one's going to thrive. It's just, yeah, at the end of the day, for however long is right for you to breastfeed, that is perfect. And don't let anyone else try and dictate how long you should or shouldn't breastfeed for.
Wonderful. That's a wonderful message. Thank you for sharing that. I do have one more thought on this, and this is to all the moms that feel uncomfortable breastfeeding or being touched. That is 100% absolutely valid to feel like that, and no one should go against their own bodily feeling or yeah, just feelings. So that's okay. It's okay not to do it, or do it just a little bit and supplement. But like you said, yes, you know what's best for you and your baby, no one else. Wonderful. Lauren, tell us, where can people find you and reach you? Because I mean, I know who I'm gonna pick for my doula when I'm pregnant. So tell us. I know where to reach you, but probably not everyone. So tell us, where can people reach you?
So the best place to find me is on Instagram. My handle is the.lauren.mcleod. All the links to my website and all that sort of stuff is on there. So that's a good place to start. I offer at the moment, if you are in Perth, Western Australia, I do offer in-person doula support, but I'm also offering virtual doula support, which is a new offering I've just launched in the last couple of months, which I'm very excited about. So yeah, I'm excited to start supporting people all over the world, which will be awesome. And I've got a few new projects in the works for 2023, which I'm really excited about too. So yeah, if you come and find me on Instagram, you'll sort of stay updated with all that sort of stuff. And my inbox is always open for anyone who you know, wants to talk or reach out about anything. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for today and for the time you took to explain to us how important it is and why you should do it. So thank you. I really appreciate this. It's going to help so many people. I know that.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And that is it for today. I hope you really enjoyed this episode like I did. If you did, please hit the subscribe button now so me and you can share Lauren's important breastfeeding message together. If you are a mama just like Lauren is, or a doula, or you're in the realm of psychology, dating coaching, health coaching, spiritual healing, or you know of someone who's in these realms, and you have a message you'd like to share with me and the rest of the world, don't hesitate and reach out to me either via Facebook or LinkedIn under my name, Doula Viviane, or via my email address, which is birthwithviviane@gmail.com. I'll be waiting for you. And that is it for me for now. I'll see you next time. Stay tuned.